How's it going, everybody? Thank you very much. I'm Orlando Ruiz Jr., and welcome to this classic movie review. This is my review of a movie that came out in 1989. This was the third film from director Spike Lee after She's Gotta Have It and School Days. Do the Right Thing. Spike Lee wasn't the first successful African American film director. Before him, there was Gordon Parks, who directed Shaft, and Melvin Van Peebles of Sweet Sweetback's Badass Song, New Jack City, came out in 1991. And 1991, we also had John Singleton's debut with Boys in the Hood, great film. And so there was this resurgence of the African American voice in cinema happening around this time. And Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing was such a successful movie. It kind of helped to lend its voice to other filmmakers and started to sort of pass it on. And it actually was a trickle down effect throughout the 90s. We had more voices coming out and sort of sharing in that African American experience in America. John Singleton kind of covered LA, California side of it, whereas Spike Lee would talk about the East Coast, mainly Brooklyn, where he grew up. And this movie is pretty much a day in the life experience in a very hot day in the summer in '89 in Brooklyn, where we see tensions rising, and there's all kinds of great characters in this film. There's some really great actors in this movie. We have John Turturro, we have Danny Aiello. Of course, Spike Lee can't help himself in his early films. He has to, play a part in a lot of his early movies. In this movie, he plays Mookie, who is mainly the central character, but this is kind of an ensemble movie with many, many characters. And, we always kind of come back to Mookie throughout the film. Mookie is this young guy who delivers pizza for Danny Aiello's character, who plays Sal. John Turturro plays Pino. We also have a very young Giancarlo Esposito in the film as Bugging Out. One of my favorite character actors, Bill Nunn, who was in Sister Act. He also pops up in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movies. He is Radio Raheem in this. Looks a lot younger here. And Radio Raheem basically walks up and down the block playing the same Public Enemy song throughout the whole movie. And he has some nice moments with Bugging Out throughout the movie. Samuel Jackson pops in and out of the movie as a local radio disc jockey. You hear his voice every now and then as he kind of comments on things happening around the neighborhood, things he sees out of his window. Everybody is sort of frustrated. Everybody wants to do something else rather than what they're doing. Everybody except Danny Aiello, who is quite happy being somebody that provides a service in this community. Everybody sort of has grown up with his food, and he really is proud of that. Only his sons, they're not in the same boat as him. His sons, well, particularly John Turturro's character, not so much the other son. He has two sons in the film. But the John Turturro character, Pino, yeah, he's very much fed up with, a lot of things in the neighborhood. He doesn't really get along with Mookie at times. Mookie gets along with his boss, Danny Aiello's character, Sal, well enough in the film, and he gets along with Sal's youngest son. But the older brother, Pino, played by John Turturro, there's this underlying tension throughout the film between the two of them. And Pino is constantly being kind of a bully to his younger brother, and Mookie sees this throughout the movie, and he gives him some advice about how, he should stand up to his brother Pino every now and then. And Pino notices this, and then there's later a scene where they kind of confront each other about this. And there's a very good moment where Pino kind of exposes himself for who he is and his real feelings about how he feels about black people in America. And Mookie, you can see he's trying to find out exactly where he's coming from, even to the point where he's being patient with him in this scene. Because you can see that there is this frustration behind Mookie's eyes. And for such an early performance, I gotta say Spike Lee is a pretty decent actor in the movie. Mookie begins to ask Pino certain questions like who are his favorite actor and who is his favorite like rock star or musician. And every time Pino gives him an answer, it is somebody like Eddie Murphy or Prince. And you can see that Mookie is just trying to understand Pino's point of view, but Pino has a very hard time trying to describe exactly what he's thinking because he's trying not to sound like a racist, but everything that comes out of his mouth, he just kind of builds up a case against him more and more that sort of solidifies Mookie's point of view, and it just makes him look very, very bad when he tries to answer certain things and tries to put like a light, positive spin on it, but still it comes out in a way that's kind of offensive, and it's almost as if he views famous people that are black as if they're not black because they're famous. And the way it comes off in the scene, you get a sense that Pino isn't the only person in America that probably feels like this, and this moment feels very relative to this point in time in our country, given how not much has changed since 1989. And the great thing about this film is this movie, this one scene, pretty much encompasses all of that just in this one scene. Actress Ruby Dee is in this film as the character of Mother's sister, an older woman who sits around her stoop or by her window just kind of observing things happening in the neighborhood on this very hot day. And Ozzie Davis is also in this film, and both these actors were in many movies, many classic movies throughout their careers, and they're both quite a bit older here, and it's really cool to see the two of them have scenes every now and then because they represent the older generation of Hollywood in this film. And Ozzie Davis is very likable. Um, he plays a guy that looks like he's been down on his luck quite a bit, but everybody in the neighborhood seems to know him, and he's a very nice guy. The one person that doesn't care for him is Ruby Dee's character, Mother Sister, and you could tell that she looks down her nose at him. But throughout the movie, he tries to sort of talk to her a bit, tries to get her to bring her guard down. Eventually, she starts to sort of get a little bit more warm to him, but it takes quite a bit of work. And since he's such a nice guy and a very patient guy, because you see that he has kind of a crush on her, it's kind of nice to see the two of these actors playing off of each other in some nice moments, little sweet moments that they get to have. On this very hot summer day in this Brooklyn neighborhood, the tension and the hostility slowly begins to build throughout the movie. And that kind of begins in the scene where Giancarlo Esposito's character, Bugging Out, goes to Sal's Pizzeria and notices that there aren't any black pictures on the wall. And this is an Italian, pizzeria, Sal's famous pizzeria, and Sal is very uh, hospitable and very friendly towards everybody. He's very appreciative of his clientele who grew up on his food, but he's trying to evoke a certain atmosphere with all the Italian pictures, and he's paying tribute to his home country of Italy with all the decorations he has and everything. And Bugging Out is very offended that there aren't any African American people on the wall as far as anybody's picture goes. Buggin begins to get kind of loud and disruptive and even disrespectful, and Sal isn't really having it, and so he kind of just kicks him out of his place temporarily. And then he goes off into the neighborhood, and later on, there's a moment between Buggin Out and Radio Raheem where they kind of form this little alliance because Radio Raheem goes in there with his boombox and he gets kicked out for not turning his, music down. And there's a scene where he's just blasting it, and Sal is like screaming at him because he's blasting his music right in front of his face in his business, his place of business. And he's like, I can't hear myself think, and he starts shouting. Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing is a very entertaining but very important and influential piece of American cinema. And without it, I don't think we would have had the modern day urban films that would come out in the 90s from many directors, from John Singleton to the Hughes brothers. John Singleton was responsible, for, as I already mentioned, for Boys in the Hood, and other great movies like Higher Learning and Poetic Justice. And then later on, I think he did Four Brothers and Baby Boy. The Hughes brothers would go on to do Menace to Society. I believe they did the movie Dead Presidents, which I reviewed on my channel. Mario Van Peebles, the son of Melvin Van Peebles. Of course, I already mentioned New Jack City in 1991. 1995, he did a great movie called Panther, which I really enjoyed when it came out. Of course, F. Gary Gray came out in 1995 with Friday. The following year, Set It Off, and then a couple years after that, The Negotiator, and his career took off. And I don't think you would have 1995's Friday without Do the Right Thing, which is also a movie that takes place all in one day and is about a day in the life in an African American neighborhood. This is a very well acted, very well written movie. There's great music throughout the movie. The pace of the movie is perfect. The camera work throughout the movie is excellent. There's great moments of humor and levity throughout the movie. And this is a very thought provoking film as well. It's not just, all racial tension all throughout the movie. There's also moments of joy and moments of fun to be had. Do the Right Thing is a four-star film. This is definitely a classic and one of the best movies of 1989. A movie that I highly recommend you check out. You can find this on streaming, but if you don't want to find it on Max or something else, get yourself a hard copy like I'm always recommending. It's my copy of the Blu-ray. That's Mookie there, Spike Lee playing Mookie, holding up one of Sal's pizzas from Sal's famous pizzeria. And that's Danny Aiello in the role of Sal there, uh, or at least on the cover. And yeah, Do the Right Thing, 1989. Check it out. It's a great film. So thank you very much for watching my classic movie review. If you're new to the channel, I very much appreciate you checking it out. And I noticed that 75% of the viewers that just kind of check this out don't subscribe. I'm a new channel. I'm just starting out, so I apologize if I'm, a little bit of an amateur at this, but I kind of just do this for fun, and I'm trying to build the channel, so I do appreciate if you subscribe or if you hit the like button. It always is appreciated and it helps. Please don't forget to share, comment, all that stuff, and please look out for the next classic movie review. I very much appreciate you watching. Thank you very much, and take care of each other. Peace out.